Hello, welcome to today's lesson. In this lesson, we are going to revise all that we have learned for the test so that we'll be able to answer the exam questions that will be given to you next week. Don't rush. Take your time. Watch the video if possible. Write something down. If you don't understand anything, you can call me and I will explain to you during the revision week. So let's go straight away into today's lesson. So first of all, we'll look at what computing is. So computing is the use of the computer to perform an action. Is the use of the computer to perform an action. So whatever you do with a computer is termed computing. So whether you record a song with a computer, you send and receive a message on the computer, you watch a movie on the computer, you listen to news, you listen to music on the computer, all these actions or activities that you use the computer to do is termed computing. So I've given you some examples already, but let's see these examples in this particular section. So if you play music with a computer, it is termed computing. If you play your favorite games on the computer, it's termed computing. If you watch your favorite cartoon or your favorite movie on the computer, we say you are computing. Plus the other examples that I have given you. Okay, so you can take your time. Apart from these three, playing music with the computer, playing games on the computer, then watching movies on the computer, you can write your own examples of computing apart from these three that I've given you. Now, what is a computer? What is a computer? You see, a computer is an electronic machine. A computer is an electronic machine. Why are we saying a computer is an electronic machine? A computer is an electronic machine because it uses electricity to work. Computers don't use water. They don't use oil. What they use is electricity. So because a computer uses electricity, we say a computer is an electronic machine. Now, when you use electricity to turn on the computer changes data into information. The electronic machine, which is the computer, it changes data into information. Now, where would the data come from? Where would the data come from before the computer will change that particular data into information? Now, when you are going to play a game with the computer, you are playing a game on the computer, you use either the keyboard or the mouse. You use either the keyboard or the mouse. Now, when you press any key or any button on the mouse, you are sending in data. When you press a key on a keyboard, you are sending in data into the computer. Then also, if you press a button on your mouse, you say you are also sending data. So when you are going to play a music, you are going to watch a movie on the computer, the button you press or the things you do before the video appears on your screen or before you begin to play the music, you are sending data into the computer. Then whatever you see on your screen becomes the information. So if you are watching a movie, what you see on the screen is information. If you are listening to music, what you hear from the sound you hear from the computer is the information. If you are seeing pictures too on your screen, the pictures are also information. So a picture on the screen is an information. The video on the screen is also an information. Then the sound you hear from the computer is also information. Okay. So we have a laptop computer over here. Then we have a desktop computer over here. So the one on the left is a laptop computer, and the one on the right is a desktop computer. So they are examples of computers that we have. Now let's look at the parts of the computer. Now a computer has two main parts. A computer has two main parts. The first one is what we call the computer hardware. The computer hardware. The computer hardware. And the hardware is the physical parts of the computer. The physical parts of the computer. And the physical parts of the computer are the parts of the computer you can see with your eyes and touch. If you can see any part of the computer and you can touch it with your hands, we call it a computer hardware. So the physical part of the computer is what we term as computer hardware. So as we go along, I'll be giving you examples of computer hardware. Then the second one is what we call the computer software. The computer software. And the computer software are the programs that we have on the computer. The programs that work on the computer are what we term the computer software. So we have Notepad, we have calculator, we have WordPad, we have Paint, we have WhatsApp, we have Facebook, we have Android, we have Windows 7, we have Windows 10, Windows Vista, Windows XP. All these are examples of programs that we have on the computer. And I'm using one right now for this lesson, which is PowerPoint. So PowerPoint is also a program that we have on the computer. The PowerPoint is a computer software. Now, we look at computer hardware as a part of the computer you can see and touch. The part of the computer you can see and touch, right? The physical parts of the computer. And the computer has four basic hardware. There are four basic hardware of the computer. The four basic hardware. And we are going to look. So when someone asks to use examples of computer hardware, we can mention these four. But we have a lot of them. A lot of them. So this is a desktop computer with the four basic hardware. The first one is the system unit. Is the system unit. Is the system unit. And this is our system unit. While I look like a box, is the system unit, but it's not a box. It looks like a box. This is the system unit. And this is what contains the brain of the computer. Inside this particular box, or inside the system unit, we have what we call the central processing unit. We have what we call the central processing unit, which is the brain of the computer. Which is the brain of the computer. So inside the system unit, this system unit, we have the central processing unit, which is the brain of the computer. Which is the brain of the computer. Then we have the second part, which is the keyboard. Which is the keyboard. So this is the keyboard of the computer. It's also a computer hardware because we can see with our eyes and touch with our hands. You can feel it. So the system unit is a computer hardware. The keyboard is also a computer hardware. Then we have the computer mouse. The computer mouse. So this is what you use for clicking. So anytime you click, you send data into the computer. Instead, this is the keyboard. Anytime you press a key, so there is small objects on the keyboard are what we call keys. So we have the A key, We have the A key, we have the 1 key, we have the B key, we have the 2 key, we have the 3 key, we have the 4 key. So all these objects on the keyboard are what we call keys. Then we have buttons on the mouse. So we have the left mouse button, we have the right mouse button, we have the scroll button. So on the mouse, there are 3 buttons over there. The left mouse button, the scroll button, and the right mouse button. So this is the mouse of the computer, which is a hardware. And the last part, which looks like the TV that we have in our homes, and I'm sure almost all of us have a TV at home. So the monitor looks like a TV, and for most of us, we even use our TVs as a monitor to connect to our system unit. So this is the monitor of the computer. So this is the monitor, which looks like the television. It looks like the television. It looks like the television. It looks like the television. So that is the monitor. Now let me come back to the mouse. Now the computer mouse also looks like the animal mouse that most of us have in our kitchens. So we also have some of them in the forest or the bush around us. So that is that. So the mouse looks like the animal mouse, as the name implies. Then the monitor looks like the television. Then our system unit looks like a box. It looks like a box, but I don't call it box. Okay. So these are the 4 basic computer hardware that we have. Let me go over the names again. This one is a system unit. The second one, keyboard. The third one, mouse. Then the last hardware is the monitor. Now I have the part of a laptop computer for you. So we have the system unit, that is this side. The system unit is below the keyboard and the touchpad. So all these parts is the system unit. We have the touchpad on the system unit. We have the keyboard also on the system unit. So this is your touchpad where you press or you rub your finger on to move the mouse pointer. This is the keyboard. And this is the monitor of the laptop. So we have the system unit, we have the touchpad, so this is the mouse of the touchpad, is the mouse of the laptop. This is what we use to control the mouse pointer on the screen. You can see my mouse pointer on the laptop, and I control the mouse pointer using the touchpad. Don't forget, when you rub your finger on this side, you see the mouse pointer also moving. So quickly, let me go over the part of the laptop again, or the notebook computer again. So we have from the screen, we have the monitor. All this is the monitor. Then we have the keyboard. We have said that the objects on the keyboard are what we call the keys. So we have keys on a board. So keyboard. Then we have the touchpad, or the mouse of the laptop, that is the touchpad. And the last part is the system unit. So the system unit is at the bottom of the keyboard and the touchpad. So all these are form part of the system unit. All right. I hope you are getting it. Now let's look at a computer mouse. So a computer mouse is a computer hardware, as we have learned already. The mouse is a computer hardware. Why is it a computer hardware? Because we can see with our eyes and touch it. So it's a computer hardware that sends data into the computer by clicking. We said this already. So anytime you press a button on your mouse, you press a button, whether you press the left mouse button, the right mouse button, or you press the scroll button, you are sending data into the computer. So before you watch your favorite movie on the computer, you need to click something. And when you click the video on the computer to open, you say you are sending data. So you send data into the computer by using the mouse. So when you click on the mouse, you say you are sending data into the computer. So don't forget, the mouse is a computer hardware. The mouse is a computer hardware that sends data into the computer by clicking, not by typing. By clicking, not by typing. By clicking, not by typing. So the mouse sends data into the computer by clicking. All right. Now, this is an example of a computer mouse for you. This is a wired mouse. So let's look at the parts. So this is the wire of the mouse. We've learned this before. This is the wire of the mouse. Some call it cord or cable. So you can say wire, or you can say cable, or you can say cord. So this particular mouse has a wire. So it's a wired mouse, or it's a cable mouse, or it's a cord mouse because it has a cord. We have another type of mouse that doesn't have a wire, it doesn't have a cable, it doesn't have a cord. So we call them wireless mouse or cordless mouse. We have a wireless mouse or a cordless mouse. So with the wireless mouse or a cordless mouse, the mouse doesn't have a wire. You see this wire over there. So you don't see any wire at all with the wireless mouse. Okay. Then we have the left mouse button. The left mouse button. The left mouse button. And left mouse button is also called the primary button. The primary button. So if you hear somebody talking about the primary button, the person is referring to the left mouse button. The person is referring to the left mouse button. So again, the left mouse button is also called the primary button. The primary button. Okay. Then the next one is the body of the mouse. And this part of the body is what goes into our palm when we are holding the mouse. So this is the part that goes into our palm when we are holding the mouse. So this is the body of the mouse. Then we have the right mouse button. The right mouse button. So where is the right mouse button of the computer mouse? So this is the right mouse where the arrow is pointing. So this is the right mouse button. And the right mouse button is also called the secondary button. The secondary button. So secondary button is also known as the right mouse button. And the right mouse button is also known as the secondary button. Secondary button, right mouse button, right mouse button, secondary button. And the last part for this lesson, the part of the mouse. So which part do you think? Is it this side, which is the cord of the mouse? Or which one? Okay. So this one, that is a connector. So this part of the mouse is what you actually connect to the system unit. You connect this to the system unit, either the back of the system unit or the front. So you join the whole mouse to the system unit by using the connector. So you can use this one to join to the system unit. The mouse doesn't lie like this, let it be working. No. You join the connector to either the front of the system unit or the back of the system unit before the mouse will be able to work. Now before we go, there's one part that I have not labeled. There's one part of the mouse that I have not labeled. I've shown the wire, the left mouse button, the body, the right mouse button, the connector, but the one that is left that I've not labeled. That I've not labeled. And it is the scroll button. It is the scroll button. The scroll button. So I'm leaving this for you to identify the scroll button. The scroll button of the mouse. So the scroll button is also called the scroll wheel. The scroll wheel. So when you hear somebody mention the scroll wheel, the person is referring to the scroll button. The scroll button. So scroll button, scroll wheel, scroll wheel, scroll button. I've not labeled this part. So I've left this part for you to label. When you draw your mouse, you try as much as possible if you can label the scroll wheel or the scroll button. All right. So by the time you finish using the mouse, there are certain skills that you will learn. Certain skills that you learn. The first one is pointing, and it's a pointing is placing the mouse pointer on an item on a screen. So when you move your mouse pointer and you place, you can see my mouse pointer on the screen, right? The arrow. If I place it on something, wherever I place, means I'm pointing that particular place. When you point to an object or any place on with your mouse pointer, you say you are pointing. Then we have clicking. So clicking is a method of pressing and releasing the left mouse button once to select or deselect an icon. We've done this thing already, and we'll be looking at clicking as we go along. Then we say clicking is also called left clicking. Clicking is also called left clicking. So when you hear somebody talking about left clicking, the person is talking about clicking. So what do you use for clicking? We use the mouse for clicking. We use the mouse for clicking. And as we go along, I'll be showing you which part of the mouse we use for clicking and which part of the mouse we use for right clicking. So we have the next mouse skill, that is right clicking. So left clicking, we use the left mouse button. So right clicking, we use the right mouse button. We use the right mouse button. But here, don't forget this one too. You also press the right mouse button once to show a menu. To show a menu. To show a menu. So right clicking is a method of pressing and releasing the right mouse button to show a menu. But you press only once. Only once. So we have dragging also. So dragging is a method of pressing and holding the left mouse button while moving the mouse. So you press and hold down the left mouse button while moving them. As we go along, we'll be looking at what some of the activities that we can use dragging for. But for now, we are only to know the various mouse skills that we have when we use the mouse. So we have dragging, we have right clicking. So we have dragging, we have right clicking, we have left clicking, we have left clicking or clicking, then we have pointing. So pointing, clicking, right clicking, then we have dragging. We have dragging. Okay. So we are going to look at left click. So when we do left click, you use the blue button. So this is the blue button that we use for left click. So you press and release the left mouse button only once. Okay, then up. So you press the left mouse button and you release it. So press, you press and release it. So the blue button is what we use, which is the left mouse button, is what we use for left clicking or clicking or clicking. So let's do it for the last time. So you press and release the left mouse button. Down, up, like skip. Down, up, so you press and release. Then we have the right click. We use the red button for our right click. So the red button is what we use. That's the right mouse button. That is the right mouse button. That is what we use for right click. So the blue button for left click, which is the left mouse button. Then the right mouse button, which is the right button. That's what we use for right click. So down, up, so down, you press and release. You press and release. You press and release. For the last time, you press down, up. So that is for our right click. Now let's look at the computer keyboard. As we have learned already, that the computer keyboard is also one of the computer hardware that we use for sending data into the computer. But here, you don't click. The keyboard is not used for clicking. The keyboard is not used for clicking. The keyboard is used for typing. The keyboard is used for typing. We use the mouse for clicking, and we use the keyboard for typing. Let me repeat again. We use the mouse for clicking, and we use the keyboard for typing. For typing, we use the keyboard for typing. And so the objects on the computer keyboard, are called keys. So we have 26 letter keys on the keyboard. So we have the A key, we have the B key, we have the C key, we have the Z key. The keyboard doesn't contain only letters, there are numbers also. So we have the 1 key, we have the 2 key, we have the 3 key, we have the 4 key, we have the 5 key, and we have the 0 key. Don't forget, we don't have 11 key, we don't have 12 key, we don't have 30 key. But we have the numbers from 1 to 0. So we have 1, 2, 3, up to 9, then 0. Then we have 26 letters on the keyboard. The letters on the keyboard are 26. And these 26 letters have been divided into 3 rows. So let's go what they are. The first row is the QWERTY row keys, which we call the top row keys. The first row is what we call the QWERTY row keys or the top row keys. Then we have the row 2, which is the home row keys or the middle row keys. Home row keys or the middle row keys. Then the last row, which is the bottom row keys. The bottom row keys. So row 1 is the QWERTY row keys or the top row keys. Row 2 home row keys or middle row keys. Row 3 bottom row keys. So these are what you have. So for example, if you take row 1, we have 10 keys on row 1. So 10 top row keys, the letters. The letters are 10. So row 1 has 10 letters. Row 2 has 9 letters. So 10 plus 9 will give you 19. Then row 3, that's the last row, has 7 letters. So we have 10, 9, 7. So when you add all of them, you get the 26 letters on the keyboard. The 26 letters on the keyboard. The 26 letters on the keyboard. Okay. So we have this. So you can see right now, I have the left and right hand keys, but our focus is on the letters. And the letters, our focus will be on the middle row keys or the home row keys. Or the home row keys. So as I said, this is the row 1 keys I was talking about, as the name implies. So this side is the QWERTY row keys or the top row keys. The bottom row keys or the top row keys. So we have on the top row keys, we have Q, we have W, we have E, we have R, we have T, we have Y, we have U, we have I, O, P. And if you count them, you are getting them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 letters on the top row or the QWERTY. And as the name implies, QWERTY was obtained from the first 6 letters. QWERTY, Q-W-E-R-T-Y, QWERTY. So that is where the name came from. Then the second row, which is this one, is the middle row keys or the home row keys. So the home row keys, we have A, S, D, F, G, H, J, K, L. The semicolon is not a letter. It's not a letter. So we don't add to the letter, but it's also found on the home row keys. So let me go over the letters again. A, S, D, F, G, H, I, J, J, K, L. So this one, we have 9 of them. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we have the bottom row keys. The bottom row keys. That one we have 7. Our focus is the home row. And if you look at the fingers over here, you can see where A is on the left little finger, X on the left ring finger, D on the left middle finger, F on the left index finger. Then the left thumb is on the space bar. So this is the space bar. This is the space bar. So this is the left thumb. And the right thumb too is also on the space bar. Then the right index finger or the pointy finger will press J. Then the right middle finger types K. Then the right ring finger types L. Then the right little finger will type the semicolon. But the two thumbs, as I've said, we place them on the space bar. That is for if you want to leave space in your work when you are typing. So the whole row letters are A, S, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L. But if you realize that there's no finger on G and H, because when you are typing, you don't place any finger on G and H. On G and H. So this is all that we'll be doing for our revision week, where you take your time and watch the videos over and over again. And I pray that you'll be able to answer the questions for me. But before I take leave of you, let's go through some of the features on the keyboard. So I have the control key, the shift key, the caps lock key for typing uppercase and lowercase letters. And from here we have the enter key. These are the enter key. The tail goes up as an arrow, but the tail goes up. Then we have the backspace key. The backspace key doesn't have any tail going up or down. This is the backspace key. This is the enter key. Then we have the space bar key. The space bar key is the longest key on the keyboard. It's the longest key on the keyboard. It's the longest key on the keyboard. Okay. So also soon, come to the end of our revision week. I hope you review everything and you pass my exam for me. So I wish you all the best. Stay safe, observe all the COVID-19 protocols, and stay at home and be an obedient child. Bye-bye. So this is the next section of our lesson, the Windows desktop. So we have the part anytime you turn on your computer. This is the part you see. That is the Windows desktop. So in this section, we have the Windows desktop. We have the icons. So yours may be different from mine, but the icons are icons. So we have the icons here. Then we have the start button. We have the start button. We have the mouse pointer or the cursor, the mouse pointer. Then the longest bar, the bottom bar here is what we term the task bar. The task bar. Then where we have the date and the time, that is date and time control. And we also call the system tray or the notification area. It's the system tray or the notification area. That is where you have your date and time. So currently this particular system has the time 9:40 p.m. So this is the notification area or the system tray. That is where you have your date and time. That is where you have your date and time. And sometimes we have some icons there. So all these bar form what we call the task bar. All these form what we call the task bar. The task bar, the long bar at the bottom of your screen is the task bar. Then you have the arrow, which is your mouse pointer. And the whole of this screen is your desktop or the Windows desktop. So let me go back again. We have the icons. We have the start button. We have the task bar. Then we have your mouse pointer. And the mouse pointer moves in the direction of the mouse. So if you move the mouse to the left, the mouse pointer moves there. If you move it down, the mouse pointer moves there. If you move the mouse to the right, the mouse pointer moves there. If you move it up, it also moves there. So the mouse pointer controls. So the mouse controls the mouse pointer. The mouse controls the mouse pointer. So this is your Windows desktop. In this last session, of our lesson. So we'll end here for this particular lesson. Again, stay safe and observe all the COVID-19 protocols. We'll meet again. Bye-bye. Say thank you very much.